Saiyans are incredibly powerful. At the height of their power, they were the main military force behind the Cold Empire and conquered planets like it was Tuesday, but that doesn't mean being a Saiyan is easy, so today I'm going to be telling you how you can survive as a low-class Saiyan warrior. Now, how you start out is entirely based on how you were born. You see, Saiyans have set protocols depending on how strong you are from birth, as the vast majority of Saiyans are born as low-class warriors. Basically, you were born with a power level of 2 to 50-ish, and you are incredibly weak by Saiyan standards, and what comes next isn't really going to be too fun. You see, low-class Saiyans, upon being born and having their power level scanned, are immediately sent off to distant planets with weak inhabitants to obliterate all intelligent life. Now remember, you were given no formal training or info. You are literally in the dark with no knowledge of the planet you were sent to, nor any knowledge on how to use ki, meaning no giant energy blast or major strategy to be utilized against the inhabitants, so you're pretty much doomed here. Okay, maybe I'm being a little harsh, as Saiyans are given some information as stated by Raditz, but it's more of an order, as you were simply told that you gotta kill everything on the planet and you gotta get back home after the job is done. So the major question that we actually have to ask is, how do we go about this? Well, it's gonna be difficult, but it's plausible. Most low-class warriors are sent to planets with weak inhabitants, but also frequent moon cycles. This means that we have an advantage, so let's assume that we're not complete dog water and that we have a power level of around 35 upon landing. If this is the case, after transforming, we'll possess a power level of around 350, which isn't a lot by any means, but remember, this is a weak planet deemed suitable for an infiltration baby, meaning most likely the average inhabitant's power level is only around 6 to 16, with maybe the occasional potential danger of a ki user who might be a problem if we weren't transformed. However, if we do meet a creature who has the ability to utilize ki, this could prove somewhat advantageous. You see, most Saiyans are incredibly gifted with ki, and we could theoretically figure out on our own, but if we meet someone who actively utilizes ki, we can copy them in order to give ourselves a much needed amp. However, you have to play your cards correctly. At this point, you're strong, but not wipe out a city strong. If you overdo it while untransformed, you most likely will be hunted down, overwhelmed, and then killed. When you do fight while untransformed, you must pick decent targets such as small villages or settlements on the outskirts of cities. This will lower the chances that you run into some kind of trained guard who will have enough power to obliterate you while you're not in your grade 8 transformation. Now with every small victory, you'll get a little bit stronger. Saiyan genes are great for this, not to mention your skill with ki will most likely increase during your time here, so keep moving from place to place and don't leave witnesses. If you do attack a village or town, be sure to kill everyone there. If you are transformed as a grade 8, this isn't really much of a problem, as you were most likely reducing the town to rubble in an hour or so at best. However, it is absolutely imperative that we make sure that not anyone, especially the government, figures out that we are the exact same monster that's been destroying towns. Finding the perfect battles and picking out who you destroy will make sure you survive your first year. Now within a couple years on this planet, our power and knowledge will be at an all-time high, and if we've managed to avoid capture this long and you have been following my directions, you should have a power level of around 200, which again isn't much, but it's enough for what we need to do. We've gotten strong enough to become more bold with our tactics now. When attacking a city, just reduce it to a glass floor. Hardly anyone is going to be strong enough to stop you, especially if you are transformed. That being said, do not get cocky. Now that you're out in the open and people know of your whereabouts, elite teams will most likely be sent to attempt to exterminate you, or particularly powerful warriors you had simply not defeated yet. Now, no matter what happens or how powerful you think you are, do not be coaxed into battling multiple strong opponents at once. Instead, try to separate them and deal with them one at a time, otherwise they will most likely cut off chances of escape and attack your blind spots while you're dealing with the stronger fighters of the group. In the off chance that separating them is next to impossible, you have two options. The first is escape. Remember, energy sensing abilities or technology is rather rare, meaning most of the time simply creating a smokescreen by blasting the surrounding area is an option for giving yourself an out. If this is impossible due to them possessing said abilities or tech, then we're basically screwed. That being said, even if it's a small chance of succeeding, your Saiyan biology may be able to allow you to walk away from this alive. First off, Saiyans regenerate stamina incredibly quickly, meaning if possible, utilizing hit and run tactics can possibly work with them wearing themselves out faster than you. Meanwhile, you continuously bombard them with attacks until an opening is given to either kill one of them or escape. Now be aware, you'll be taking damage too while doing this, and they'll try to lock you down the best they can, meaning you'll be taking attacks from all sides. This isn't too bad though. Saiyan bodies can take a lot of hits before going down, but remember, you do not have a healing tank or medical supplies, meaning if you're hit with an attack that's a little bit too much to heal from, then it's game over. Also, one thing that you have to remember is that we are cold cold-blooded Saiyans here, meaning desperate calls for desperate measures, meaning psychological warfare is also on the table. Take hostages, make them act out of line via taunts, torture teammates to lure out other soldiers, etc. There is literally an entire list of war crimes that you can go ahead and do whenever you find it necessary. Another thing that you have to remember is that even if you survive these kind of encounters, you'll most likely take some major damage, which is both a good and very bad thing. It's good because thanks to Saiyan biology, a major beating will allow our strength to reach new heights after we've healed. The problem is that we're going to be in a very vulnerable position for quite some time. Even factoring in our healing factor, depending on how much damage we took, we're looking at 1 to 3 weeks of being unable to move locations or fight at full strength. If hunted down in this state, death is far more likely depending on who finds us, which is why it's incredibly important to have a well-secured base that's well hidden where you can recover after each successful attack. A well-placed cave or cavern should do wonders for this simply due to the fact that it is covered by various shrubbery as well as natural barriers. Now, it's been a few years since we landed. We've lost some fights, we've won a lot of fights, we're still somehow alive, and we've decimated the entire planet. Our power level is beginning to get close to the average for a Saiyan warrior of our age. It's resting pretty close to 300 to 500, if not more. Most of the government has been destroyed due to our rampant attacks, and what remains of it has its one desire, being our destruction. But at this point, nothing can really stop you anymore. Even if your power is lower than an average Saiyan, you are more than enough to overwhelm any creature remaining on the planet. Additionally, the constant moon cycles made the extermination all the easier. All that remains is small pockets of resistance, which you quickly deal with. All major cities have been destroyed, and you can't find any more intelligent life. The mission is complete. So after all this time, you can finally return home. You hid your pod away in a secluded location for when you finally dealt with the planet's inhabitants. It's already pre-programmed to return to Planet Vegeta, with those being its pinned coordinates. Though the trip back is close to around a year, this feels more like a short nap simply due to the fact that the Saiyan pod puts you in a stasis. You do not age, nor do you need to drink, breathe, or eat until you're within the distance of your destination. After everything, you finally make it back to Planet Vegeta, where you're greeted by 2 technicians. They'll give you a quick rundown, but most importantly, you'll be taken back into Saiyan society, where you'll be assigned to a senior who will basically teach you the ropes. During this time, you'll be retrained. Anything you failed to pick up on your own will be taught to you here, such as flight, key control, how to use certain technology, as well as various things related to Saiyan culture and your new life as a Saiyan warrior. Speaking of which, let's talk about that because missions are going to be dicey. You see, the way missions work is that it's a first come, first served basis. They are put into a pool of missions to choose from, and the more difficult the mission, the more money it pays. Meaning the more missions and the harder they are, the more your wealth as well as reputation will grow. Occasionally, you'll be automatically assigned to a mission by a higher up, such as King Vegeta, Lord Frieza, or King Cold themselves, though this is incredibly rare. Now, due to the fact that you're still young, you'll be assigned to a platoon of adult Saiyans to take on an actual mission. This is where most Saiyans get killed. The official missions have enemies that could pose a threat to an actual Saiyan warrior, so if caught off guard, you could be killed incredibly quickly. Remember, the goal here is to both improve our reputation, power, all while staying alive. The best way to do this is to not be a showboat. Stay cool and stay close to the seasoned warriors. That being said, you are definitely far stronger than you were before. Retraining with the Saiyans who were stronger than you most definitely increased your power, but getting used to the Planet Vegeta's gravity was the main factor. After getting accustomed to 10 times gravity, your power level most likely skyrocketed to around 1,000 if not more. Stay close to the seniors, chip in when you can, and slowly grow from experience. During this time, get as much from them as you can. Battle tactics, techniques, everything you can. By the time you leave, you gotta be just as strong, if not stronger than them preferably. Additionally, be sure to treat them well. Don't leave them for dead if they are injured, and save their skins if the opportunity arises. Saiyans tend to be fickle, but incredibly loyal if they become attached to you. Eventually, after you've completed a few jobs, you'll be considered a full-fledged warrior, and your power will most likely represent this, as you'll most likely have an average battle power of 2,000 to 3,000. At this point, we've gotta become more risky with our actions. Technically speaking, you could probably stop here, and your chances of surviving is decent if you continue to take low-level missions. However, this can backfire incredibly quickly. If given a designated world to conquer that's above your pay grade, you'll most likely die or be gravely wounded. If you return before finishing the job, the king will most likely kill you for the lack of strength. So the best course of action would be for us to develop our strength and reputation so that we can stand above the average Saiyan warrior. First off, we need a crew. Surround yourself with powerful Saiyan allies. Hopefully you followed my directions and treated your seniors well, as most likely you can recruit them into your squad squadron. They'll be more experienced than you, and you'll sit somewhat evenly with them in terms of power. You'll want a decently large squad of around 3 to 5 members, quality over quantity in this case. There is absolutely no reason to recruit people if they're just going to get themselves killed within their first week of working with you. Now, the reason why you're recruiting your original platoon members is because they've gotten used to you. As I said prior, Saiyans are fickle, and if they aren't particularly loyal, will most likely result in your death, either by leaving you to die if you get injured, killing you personally if you are no longer useful, or betraying you for some other nefarious reason. Recruiting them will ensure you always have someone you can somewhat trust. After creating your team, it's important to do a test drive first with a decently difficult mission. This will allow you to see how effective your team is against decent planets. If they perform poorly, either find stronger crewmates or simply train them with other decent missions, or train them personally to increase the team's synergy and get a grasp of how powerful they are. Once they're strong enough, it's time to go off the deep end. You have to start acting more risky with your mission selection, except missions that are particularly dangerous, where even middle-class fighters would somewhat hesitate. That being said, still be incredibly careful. The point is to improve, not die horribly. Work your way up, taking more and more dangerous jobs, and with time, your crew will increase in power as well as reputation. And because your reputation is beginning to increase, more Saiyans will begin to take you seriously, and we need to use this to our advantage. As your reputation and power grows, it's possible that you could be paired up with other powerful Saiyans from time to time, or you could approach them personally without immediately getting blasted into nothing. Now, the reason the middle-class Saiyans are of interest is due to the fact that they possess the ability that'll make your entire team next to unstoppable. You see, they possess the Powerball technique. It's a Saiyan exclusive ability to use one's ki in order to create a fake moon to generate the energy source required to transform into the Great Ape. If you're able to get them to teach you this ability, you'll have conquered the moon and could utilize your trump card at will. Though the energy cost would be detrimental, the boost in power would be more than worth it. The Great Ape transformation already makes you and your entire crew into a Ginyu level threat, but thanks to this ability, you'll be able to attack planets regardless of moon cycles, meaning that you could take on elite level missions, granted with some difficulty, without immediately dying horribly. And due to the fact that you can now utilize your trump card if things get hard, you don't actually have to rely on the Uzaru transformation at all times, meaning that your power level would increase even further to around 6,000 to 8,000. Now, it should be noted that this is only possible if you've managed to not actually die on these missions, but instead come back on the brink of death every single time. The good thing is that unlike your infiltration mission, you do have top tier medical technology. So even if you do come back with broken ribs, a cracked spine, and a blasted eye, the healing chamber will leave you with as little as a scar at most. So congratulations, you're pretty much at the top of low class. However, this is about as good as you can do for the most part, even if you continue to take the most difficult assignments. The strongest that you could possibly get while taking these missions alone would probably be around 10 to 12,000 before you begin to plateau. However, by the time you reach those power levels, most likely you would either be killed by King Vegeta, who would be afraid that you're going to get stronger than him, so he's going to basically deal with you right then and there, or you would be assassinated by Frieza and his goons. So anyway, there's the guide. If you follow these instructions, get lucky, and play your cards right, you'll be a powerful Saiyan in no time. Anyway, thanks so much for watching this far. If you like this video and want to see more of it, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon, and comment below what you want to see. Also, big shout out to my Patreons. We got the Mnemonic Sailor, Jay going to La La Land, Daniel Terp, Hero Brian, Lindsay, Trolley Unicorn, Magic, Sloomy, and Bimo. Thank you all so much for supporting me. It really does mean a lot, and honestly, I would love to talk about this more, but I'm running out of space on my computer, so I gotta go right now. Bye.